I'm Lisa Hughes, and I will be your instructor for this semester. With each module, you'll find that I try to include an introductory video to familiarize you with some of the central topics of the module, as well as some tips or clarifications regarding the assignments. Because I don't have the advantage of being with you in a face-to-face class on campus, this is my way of trying to communicate with you. So for Module 1, our focus is really going to be on getting our bearings related to assessment, evaluation, and measurement. To start then, you're going to start with a discussion board that allows you to identify in your own words what you define measurement, assessment, and evaluation to be. I do not want you looking any information up. It's okay if you're wrong. In fact, I kind of suspect you will be in some ways. But you might not necessarily be wrong. You might just have a different perspective, and that's okay as well. So you're going to start by defining, and then you're going to look at a couple of ways that some professionals in education define measurement, assessment, and evaluation. Then you're going to go back into that discussion board, and you're going to learn, or you're going to respond rather, to your peers so that you can help them learn a little bit more about the nuances of those terms. The second major activity for this particular module is a case study. Now you will have a total of 8 case studies throughout the semester, and this is our first one. Some of them will be individual, others will be collaborative. In this case study number 1, since it's your first one, I want you to be able to do it on your own and kind of get familiar with the concept of a case study. In essence, you're going to be looking at a scenario and then putting yourself in the place of that situation and then answering some questions. But they're really pretty complex in terms of their breadth and depth. So it's not meant to be necessarily a quick assignment or something you can knock out in 10 minutes before it's due, but rather really start now thinking about how you would respond, why you would respond the way you would. I'm really interested mostly in your personal perspective as well as your sharing of what you've learned through the resources that are required reading within the course module. Now currently, you probably only see the syllabus and the course introduction and possibly this video in the module folder for readings. However, once you put your initial post, you submit your initial post for DB 1.1, which is the definitions discussion board, then the rest of the readings should automatically appear for you. The idea behind that is, again, I don't want you to read before you jump into the discussion board because I want it to really be your own ideas. As far as the assignments go, you'll find all of those in the assessments folder. And you'll notice that the assignment sheets sometimes can be a little long. Totally understand that can be challenging for some of you. Again, I don't have the advantage of talking to you face to face, kind of making these clarifying statements in class. So sometimes the assignment sheets do get long. You'll notice at first there's something that's called an assignment in brief. So that's just a really quick snapshot. It kind of sums up what you're doing for the task. And then after that, you'll find the detailed directions that are step by step. And it literally is step by step. Do this, here's how you create this, here's we go here, here's a resource, and some tips as well. So make sure you do read that assignment sheet carefully in full. At the bottom of every assignment sheet, you'll also find how you will be evaluated for the task. For the discussion board, for example, it tells you that there's some certain specifications for mastering the task. Now that's a little weird language, but actually that's one way, one style of evaluation and assessment is through specifications grading. Now I don't make this stuff up. As you can see here, I actually read a lot, and this book by Linda Nilsson is called Specifications Grading, and in it she refers to one style of grading where students are held to a higher level of expectation, but they're also provided a means for getting there, and I'm buying into that. I really like that idea. I have confidence in your ability to achieve those high standards, but I certainly want to help you get to that point. So with specifications grading, it's kind of like completion grading, which you may be familiar with. Like if you do a discussion board, you did it, all right, you get the 10 points. But I kind of have a philosophical problem with that, because what if you don't do it well? Or what if you didn't really meet the objectives? And that's ultimately the goal of any assignment, is to help you meet and demonstrate your mastery in the stated objectives. And so you've kind of just skimmed the surface. So instead, with specifications grading, it is all or nothing. It is completion. You either did it or you didn't do it. But you have to master it based on certain criteria or specifications, which is why I call it specs grading. So in the case of the discussion board DB 1.1, which is for definitions, you have to make sure that you answer all the questions that's provided on the assignment sheet, that you've demonstrated the mastery in the stated objectives, that you have promoted learning of yourself as well as your classmates and even me, that you are using etiquette or netiquette by thoughtfully responding to your peers, and kind of helping them sift through any misunderstandings or misconceptions, maybe prompting them with additional questions. You also have to demonstrate critical thinking. You'll hear that a lot from me. I want to see that critical thinking happen. And finally, you do need to reference the assigned readings and possibly other resources to support your claims. Now those specifications, all of those must be met in order to earn those 10 points. If you don't meet one of those, like let's say you answered all the questions but you didn't reference any of the reading, then you get 0 points, because you didn't meet all of the expectations, because all of those are what's going to help you actually master those objectives. On your case study, it also uses specs grading, but there's a little bit different feel to it, because the case study is a little heftier in nature. The discussion board is what we would call a formative assessment, assessment for learning. So it's okay if it's all or nothing. It's not a lot of points, and I fully expect you guys all to achieve 10 points out of 10 as long as you meet all those criteria that's set forth. With the case study, it's a little bit heftier in weight. Case studies are worth more in terms of the overall semester grade, and they're worth more points. And so I didn't want to just do all or nothing. They're worth 25 points each. I don't want to just say 25 or 0. That didn't seem fair to me. So I kind of modified specs grading. And you have a rubric. So now there are 5 categories in the rubric, including ideas and analysis, support, organization, APA, and conventions, which would be like grammar and spelling. So now for each of those categories, it's either all or nothing. So for example, in the support category, you have to use the required reading and possibly other readings to support your claims. You should also share relevant and personal and professional information rather, that connects to the ideas and helps you further support your argument. You have to do both of those things. As long as you do both of those things fairly well, you don't have to be perfect, you do them fairly well, you'll get 8 out of 8 points for that category. If you only use the reading and you don't bring any of your personal experience or professional experiences into your response, you'll earn 0. Likewise, if you only do a personal reflection but you don't add any of the required reading by citing it and using it meaningfully in your response, again, you'll earn 0 out of 8 for that particular category. So it's all or nothing, but is based on those expectations that are generally in the A-B range. So you don't have to be perfect. It's not A+, but you could earn an A+ as long as you master those stated objectives as defined by the criteria in the specs grading. Now, I know this can be pretty scary, right? It's all or nothing. What do you do if you screw up? This kind of sucks, right? But I also ascribe to a theory of growth mindset. So what that means is I believe that we should all have the opportunity to fail, because it's in those struggles, those setbacks, those failures that we learn. If you already knew everything, you wouldn't need to take this course. So you're here to learn, and I expect you not to be perfect and to struggle a little bit along the way. And so I do have you do have the opportunity to use what I call 3 grace passes. So you have 3 of them throughout the entire semester. Those are good to revise and resubmit any assignment that you feel like you didn't perform as well as you wanted. So for example, in the case study 1, if you earned 15 out of 25 and you're not happy or satisfied with that grade, you can redo it and then submit it and tell me you're using a grace pass, and you have up to 1 week after you get your feedback to resubmit that document, and that your old grade is wiped out entirely and your new grade replaces the old grade. Those 3 grace passes could also be used for late work. Typically, there is no late work accepted in this class at all, period, except for in the case of using those 3 grace passes. So use them wisely. Now, you don't get anything extra at the end of the semester for keeping them. If you don't use them, that's fine, but there's no extra credit or anything in that regards. And just always stay in communication with me. If for some reason you're behind, maybe this week you didn't register for the class until Friday and you don't think you're going to be able to get the case study done by Monday, just communicate that with me, especially these first few weeks. I will try to work with you on that. I know that you're still trying to acclimate yourself to the course. But again, I want to clarify what the expectations are so that you're not surprised later in the semester when I hold you to the expectations as stated in the syllabus. As always, if you have any questions, if they're personal in nature, feel free to email me, or a really good place to post your questions, especially if they're general, is the FAQ. That way everybody can benefit from the answers. I'm really looking forward to this. I love this content. It's very much complicated and controversial, and that's good because that means that we're going to learn and we're going to have new ideas to share this semester.